Two guys put a gun in my face and robbed me for all my money while I was trying to deliver chicken to somebody's house. Let's get into it. This all began back in the 80s. There was a period of time when Kentucky Fried Chicken decided to try the delivery business. Of course, this is before DoorDash and all of the other ones. They wanted to get into delivery. And I was just at a time in my life where I needed to pick up a little job. I was 16 years old and I wanted to pick up a little extra money. I heard that the local KFC was delivering chicken. And I thought, I can be a driver. I don't want to work in the kitchen. I don't want to put flour on chicken and drop it in a grease. I don't want to do that. But I can drive around and drop it off. Thought it sounded fun. But I lived in the south end of Columbus. I lived in an area where being a delivery driver was probably not the greatest job ever. But I thought, I'll be fine. This is my neighborhood. So I signed up, I got hired, and they went over all of the, orientation and watched videos and had to fill out papers. And then they give us the spiel of here's our map, the area of where we deliver chicken from this store. And I'm looking because I recognize all of these areas. And I noticed that there was one area that we called the projects. And we didn't go in there. We had no business being in that place. I've been in there in the daytime a couple of times, dropping off a buddy or whatever. But yeah, you don't go in these areas. And so that area was circled. And then there was an X through it. So I said, what's the X all about? The manager said, that's in the process of being taken off our map, that we don't deliver in there. And I'm like, so does that mean until this gets officially taken off our map, that we're still going in there? Yeah, we still have to go in there. And I told him right then, I said, I didn't sign up to do a job where I have to go in there. And so I'm not going to do it. You can keep me on if you want to. But if a call comes in for me to take, an order into that place, I'm not going to do it. I'll quit first. And he said, no problem. We need drivers. I'll assign those areas to some of these other drivers. Fine. Life moves on. I start delivering chicken for Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is great. I was driving around. I was having a good time, thinking this is a great job. And I lasted probably a good 2 months working that job. And I thought it was great. Putting money in my pocket. It wasn't not that hard. Everything was going really super good. And then one night, I'm standing in the back of the store waiting for orders to come in. And the order printed off. They rip it off. It had the address on there of one of those places inside the no-go zone, the one that's officially going to be taken off later. And I'm the only driver standing there. All the other drivers are out making deliveries. And he looks at me and says, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, I already told you, I'm not going in there. It's not worth it. You're not paying me enough money to go do that. No, I'm not doing that. And he sat there and just worked on me. And he was like, I really need you to do this. And he started breaking me down. And then he offered me, he said, listen, you go do this one job and then you can go home after that. And I'll pay you for the rest of the night. And I'm like, man, this guy's desperate. He really wants this chicken delivered. And so here I am, 16 years old, and I've just been manipulated by a 40-year-old manager and talked me into doing something that I had already set my boundaries. I already said I didn't want to do it. So he broke me down. He gets the order ready and prepped. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I reluctantly head out the door with a bag of chicken on my shoulder and a small zipper bag full of cash so I can make change for people. So I throw the bag in my car and I start my drive. The whole way over there, I'm thinking to myself, this is the worst idea ever. Why am I doing this? I was like, I should just change my mind again. Turn around and go back. Like I could feel, maybe I was feeling like something, in the universe or whatever. Like I was having a premonition. I don't know. Whatever the case, I ignored all of those feelings and drove into that area. I grabbed my flashlight and I'm driving, looking at addresses. Like I didn't even know the addresses that well. There's a whole numbering system in there. And if you don't know it, it's easy to get twisted around. I'm shining the flashlights and like the lights on the building are shining like toward the yard before the street. And then between the buildings, this is important to know, between the buildings, there's no lights. So these dark cavities between apartment buildings. And so I'm just kind of watching and shining, and I drop a light into the dark cavity area. I'm just like, oh, this is so sketch. And I'm creeping along in my car, and I can't see the numbers on this particular building, but I feel like maybe this is it. This is the one I'm looking for. Let me drop this chicken off and get out of here. And my 16-year-old brain, absent-minded brain, pulls up to the sidewalk. I open the door. I just want to check those numbers. That's it. I leave the chicken sitting on the front seat. I leave the car running. Yeah, I did that. And I walked away from my car, left the door open, car running, chicken on the front seat, bag of money in my back pocket, flashlight, getting closer to the building, looking for the numbers. Still can't see them. Struggling hard. Where are these numbers? And I felt a presence. Made me sick to my stomach because I could feel that somebody was coming up behind me. And I went to turn around, and when I did, somebody put their hand on my shoulder and stopped me. Then I felt the gun poke into my back. And I could tell somehow there were two men behind me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. For whatever reason, I'm instantly mad at my boss. Like, I'm like in my head, like, oh. He says, where's the money? Where's the money? And I'm like holding my hands up, and I'm like, man, I was like, the money's in my back pocket. You don't even need that gun. You can just have that money. So he reaches in and pulls the zipper bag out of my back pocket. And I'm like, there you go, man. He turns me around and points the gun to my face. I'm like, what are you doing? It's a revolver. He pulls back the hammer. I'm like, this cat is about to freaking shoot me. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You got the money. He's like, let's just take a little walk over here. And he starts pushing on me to push me toward the dark place between the buildings. And I'm thinking to myself, this man definitely wants to shoot me. He just doesn't want to do it under the lights. And I'm like, this just got serious. I thought he just wanted the money. Before this moment, I really wasn't that scared. I was annoyed, but I wasn't like thinking, I was thinking they were going to get the money and take off. And I look around, there are people who came out of their buildings. They're standing out there and they're watching me get robbed. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's yelling, I called the cops or anything like that. I got a gun in my face and these guys are pushing on me. And I'm like half stepping backwards, like trying to resist the push, but I'm being led to the dark spot between the buildings with a gun in my face. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, I just I can't think, can't think. And all of a sudden, I got this moment of clarity. The fight or flight thing kicked in, and I decided fight and flight was going to do. so, so I seen a straight line to my car with the door open and it's running. And while I'm considering what my next move is, the guy without the gun can't get the zipper to, he's trying to get the cash out, like right there on the scene, because that little flappy thing was broke. So you have to pinch and squeeze and drag that to get the thing open. He can't figure that out. And he's like, I can't get this stupid. And the guy with the gun was like, what? And the guy with the bag got distracted for a second, looks up and he says, hey, let's get the chicken. I'm like, oh no, not that I cared about the chicken. But as soon as they find the chicken, they're going to find a running car. They're going to get my money, they're going to get my chicken, and they're going to get my car. And I'm like, I got to do something right now. It's time to do something. And when he said, let's get the chicken, the guy with the gun then looks up at him to say, no, we're not getting that chicken. They're having the weirdest conversation, but they're not looking at me. And that's when I decided to make my move. I don't even really know if I thought ahead what my move was going to be. I just knew I had to do something. So I just tucked down like a football player and I plowed into these guys, pushing them as I ran. And I ran, and the whole time my back is arched because I feel like that gun is going to go off while I'm running. But I am on a full tilt run. And I felt like I was running so fast, I probably would have outran that bullet. And I feel like in my memory, of course, my memory is going to be a little skewed because like I was in a panic at that point. But the door's open and I feel like I jumped from way back and did this like flying in the air thing. This is my memory doing this to me. And I like land in the seat from like a launch, like a Michael Jordan leap, I land in the front seat. And in one swoop, I'm closing the door and I'm dropping that thing down into drive and slamming on the gas. And I drove so fast out of that parking lot, hit the street, turned the corner. When I realized that I'm safe now, that there's no way these guys can catch up now, I'm out of there. And I'm on a smooth path in a neighborhood that, is a little bit nicer. And I then, like, it hit me. The emotions of all of that just bubbled up inside of me. I realized how terrified I was, that I really thought that I was about to be led to my death. And I just had this emotional release, man. I just started crying and just like uncontrollably, like sobbing, like, the ugly cry. And I'm driving back to the Kentucky Fried Chicken, just bawling my eyes out, feeling like I don't know. I was crushed. And I was so mad at my boss. So by the time I get back to the store and I pull in, I had stopped crying, but I was still mad. And I grabbed that bucket of chicken and I walked in that store and he was sitting at the table out in the lobby. And I threw that chicken down on the ground. I just threw that whole bag and threw it at him, but it just landed at his feet. He was like, what's got into you? I said, I just got robbed, man. I told you we shouldn't be in that place. What's the matter with you? He was like, oh my gosh, are you all right? Oh, and he wanted to have to call the police and the whole thing. So I had to make a whole police report. Well, they're pulling out, all of the stops, like where did you see and how tall and all this. And I'm like, I don't know. All right, we'll come down to the station tomorrow after you've kind of collected yourself And let's go through this while it's fresh on your mind. So made the appointment to go to the police station the next day. But then I looked at my boss and I'm like, I'm leaving. He's like, man, I know, get some sleep, you know. I was like, and I'm never coming back. I quit that job right there. And I went home and it's like, how do you get so tired from such an emotional experience? Like it drains you so much. And so I got home. It's like 7:00 at night or something like that. I get home, I walk in the door and I just like collapsed on the couch. And my dad must have got home just a little while later. And he came to the couch because it's unusual that a 16-year-old kid on a Friday night or whatever it is home laying on the couch, you know. So he wakes me. He's like, are you all right? Are you sick or something? And I told the story to my dad and he was like, oh my gosh, like his heart broke, you know, and like any father would. And so he went with me the next day and to look at the police report, and they open up these books of all these mug shots. And they're like, is this the guy? Is this the guy? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no idea. Like, I can't remember. You know what I mean? All these criminals. I'm like, nah, I don't know who. I got to be honest with you. No clue if that could have been that guy, but also could be that guy. So it didn't produce anything. Of course, these guys were never caught. But man, I swear, that's one of the memories in my head that, man, I hope I never have to live through again. You know what I mean?